Pre-flight planning, an important part of any drone flight. This is going to talk about how we do typical pre-flight planning, how we kind of research things before we go out and fly, and figure out where we're going to fly, and some of the tools that are available to us, and how to use them. So, if you've taken Part 107, you know how to read airspace maps, and that's great. But how do we do this every day on a regular basis? Kind of the procedures that both meet the requirements of Part 107 or hobbyists, and also, our, that work, that are a regular part of our routine. So what I like to do is use this website here, the FAA's ArcGIS website, visualize it. To find that, if you just go, you can Google FAA ArcGIS, and you'll get to that. One of these links. Hit those, and this will come up. And so this gives you all the airspace map information that you could want. It zooms you into wherever. Let me just type in Boston to orient myself rather than scrolling around. So with the center mouse wheel, I can just roll in and out, and FAA information is fed into this web-based system, and I'm using Chrome here, nothing fancy. So this is what we have. So our airspace circles are there. You can type in an address. Let's see. I'm just going to make something up. See if I can find it. So that's, you have geo coding capabilities here, or Google Earth or Google Maps search engines, right, can get you to any address that you want in the country. So you just plug it. I just made that up. So in Medfield, Mass, Main Street. Oh, that one worked pretty well. So I can see, let's say I have this real estate job, and that's the address I've been given. I'll type that in before I, go do the flight, and I can say, okay, yeah, here I am. I am outside of this airspace here, whatever this is, right? The Norwood Airport, the Norwood Municipal Airport, Memorial Airport there. So I'm outside of that, so I'm good. I'm in Class G airspace, good to go. But let's say I was, in here a little bit more, and then now I'm within their airspace, and if I'm within the circle, I can get LANC authorization. So using the Aloft app or the AirMap app, I can go to the site, request authorization to fly there. This grid here, this says 400 feet, so it's telling me that's your ceiling, kind of probably your ceiling anyways, but I think it's saying, if you have a 100-foot building, you can't go up to 500 feet like you normally could outside of the airspace. So, as I get closer, like this is 200 feet, I think 200 or 300 feet. So if I was in there, I could probably get LANC authorization as long as I say I'm going to keep it under 300 feet and don't go above 300 feet. They're going to pin me on the map at a certain time, know that I'm there. But I'd be good to go with LANC. So check out that lecture to see how we get that LANC authorization. But this is, before you even start, a good way to say, okay, where am I? Do I need LANC authorization? By looking at these circles and these boxes, and it's going to give you an idea of, if it's a 0, you're probably not. You're just too close. They're going to deny you, right? If it's 100 feet. You just got to indicate you're not going to go above 100 feet and don't go above 100 feet. So this helps you plan out where you're at, right? So that's kind of the main functionality of this website, is figuring out how high you can fly and whether you need to deal with LANC or not. There are some other features we should talk about. The first one here, the base map gallery. If you want aerial photographs, you can dial those up. Click on the imagery, and now we can zoom in and see individual houses, and that really kind of helps figure things out. Um, let's say I'm flying, this house right here. I can use my ruler, my measurement tool here, and click distance. I click and I can say, okay, here's my sort of my half-mile radius. I can get an estimate. Say, okay, I could fly from here. Probably see my drone in a half mile, about a half mile of visibility, line of sight. So that would say, okay, I could probably, if I wanted to take pictures of this school, I think it's a school. I should be able to take off from this house and keep it within line of sight. I can also, see other things like if there's substations you got to worry about, or schools, or anything at all. You can get a good sense of what's going on, what type of traffic you're going to have here. Major roads. You get a lot more detail than you can from the other maps that ArcGIS has. But this is the pencil map. So you can get artistic too if you want to. But anyway, but that base map, good functionality there. This layer tab, you can turn things on and off. Prohibited areas, pending national security, flight restrictions. If there's something coming up in the future, TFR or something, they'll put that on here. Special use airspace, military operations areas and restricted areas, things like that. Things that, if you've taken Part 107, you should understand, but you could map them all out here in ArcGIS. I'm going to get rid of this pencil base map and just keep it simple. All right, so that helps me see things better. So what else do we have here? We can, let's see, we've done the measurement tool. Let's get rid of that. We can throw a legend up here, which could get pretty big, but might be helpful for you to see what's going on. We could print a map. Another layer list. But really, that's probably the main gist of it, right? Those are the ones that you would really use most of the time. And you could even draw out some arrows and put a circle around the house that you're doing and print that out and say, okay, this is where I flew. Here's a half mile. Here's my half mile estimated boundary. You could do this stuff in ArcGIS or QGIS if you really wanted to make a nice looking map for your report. But gives you some basic functionality to draw some notes and things. But that's it. So that, great tool for figuring out where you are, figuring out what Lance is probably going to kick back to you, so you can plan that out and figure out your planning before you go and fly. All right. You can also do this. I've seen people. I used to do this in Google Earth Pro. Download KML files, put them into Google Earth Pro. If you have other data in Google Earth, that might work. But I think this has gotten to the point where it works. It gives you probably more functionality, and it's updated immediately. If you have KML files, you have to keep getting the newer versions, but this gets fed to you. We also have SkyVector. Let's talk about that. This gives you the FAA charts, right? The terminal area charts and the sectional charts. So these are the more of the official. This is what manned pilots use. They're typically doing longer, point A to point B type of thing. And it's designed for manned aircraft, not so much for drones. So there's probably a lot more in here than you need, but this is what we learned for the Part 107. So you're probably familiar with this if you have 107. But here I can't really tell exactly if I have a home here. I don't know if it's within or outside. The ArcGIS map can really pinpoint that down. And you can print that out, print a PDF. Save that as part of your file for that flight, and you're covering yourself, right? If a police officer comes and says, "Hey, you are too close to the airport. I'm taking your drone." When you go talk to the judge to get your drone back, and say, "No, judge, here's where I was. Here's the address. Here's the map. I printed it out." And you can, or even have it with you and show the officers. I'm this side of the line. I believe I'm within. I'm fine, and they'll say, "All right, you know what you're doing." So, anyways, but here are the sectional charts, and we can click on the Boston TAC wherever you are if you want to zoom in a little bit more. But this is the typical stuff that we're kind of used to. So, but ArcGIS is making that a little bit easier in GIS stuff. So that's what we got. That's pre-flight planning. Some online tools that make our life pretty easy.